Welcome to the Evolution Studio Works podcast series. This conversation outlines 10 common reasons why small businesses fail, providing actionable advice on how to prevent these pitfalls. The hosts emphasize the importance of realistic expectations, understanding customer needs, and analyzing competition. Additionally, the necessity of strong branding, continuous innovation, and a positive company culture are noted. Finally, it stresses the impact of exceptional customer experience and the value of seeking expert guidance rather than trying to do everything alone. Let's join the conversation.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a whole bunch of sources, articles, research, different insights, and we pull out the most important bits of knowledge for you. Our whole goal is really to give you a shortcut to being properly informed, maybe with a few surprising facts, and hopefully just enough humor to keep things interesting. Okay, so today we're diving into something that, gosh, it sparks dreams for millions, doesn't it? Launching your own business, that whole vision of passion, freedom, creating something totally new. It's incredibly appealing, but, and it's a big but for way too many people, that dream just, it hits a wall, sadly. So in this deep dive, our mission is to explore why so many small businesses fail, and crucially, how you can try and avoid those common mistakes, how you can boost your chances of actually succeeding. We've gathered some key insights from a really good YouTube analysis and also a pretty comprehensive small business survival guide. We're going to distill it all down into clear, actionable stuff for you. Now, let's just get right into the harsh reality, because the stats, they are pretty sobering. Did you know something like a staggering 22% of business startups, they fail in their very first year? And even more alarming, maybe, is that 50%, half of new businesses don't even make it past 5 years. It's a tough world out there. It feels like a gamble sometimes.
Yeah, it really does. And our sources, they're crystal clear on the single biggest reason for this high failure rate. It comes down to cash flow problems. This usually looks like not having enough capital, enough money to kind of ride out that slow growth period that, let's face it, almost always happens right after launch. Just think about it, right? A business needs to cover rent, maybe salaries, inventory, marketing, all before any significant money starts coming in. So if you're undercapitalized or, maybe client payments are late or your stock just sits there, that crucial, less profitable initial phase, it becomes a real trap. It just stops a business from surviving long enough to find its feet and get to, consistent profitability.
Absolutely. It's so fundamental, isn't it? But, okay, while cash flow is number one, it's definitely not the only reason businesses stumble. There are lots of other pitfalls, things people often overlook, that can derail even a really promising idea. So let's unpack these. Let's start with a really common one, and it's kind of rooted in the very thing that gets people started. That passion. We're talking pitfall number one, over-romanticizing your business. You pour your heart, your soul into this idea, that passion. It absolutely gets you launched. It gives you the drive, the energy. But the mistake, it's continuing to treat it like a passion project after you've launched instead of, a business. You've heard that phrase, it's not personal, it's just business. Often used for bad news, yeah, but it's actually profoundly true for running things successfully. It means stepping back from just emotion.
Precisely. The key insight here is you've got to establish your business brain from day one. Your feelings might kickstart things, but they won't keep the lights on. Successful businesses, they have to be governed by facts, metrics, financials, processes. Clear rules. And for an entrepreneur who, lives and breathes their idea, maybe the hardest part is making that mental shift from my baby to my enterprise. You need measurable things, KPIs, key performance indicators, stuff like customer acquisition cost, conversion rates, monthly recurring revenue, and you have to commit to letting those numbers, not just your gut feeling, guide the big decisions. Objectivity over sentimentality, basically.
That's a really strong point. Emotion versus data. Okay, but let's say an entrepreneur gets that. They make the shift. What's next? How do they make sure their product or service actually, finds a market? This brings us neatly to pitfall number two. Not really understanding the customer's problem. So many businesses start with a solution they think people need, rather than digging into an actual, acute pain point people have. If your product or service doesn't fix a specific real problem, something people are willing to pay money to solve, your business is going to struggle. It's just not enough to love your own idea, is it? You might think your widget's amazing, but if it doesn't solve a real pain for someone, they just won't buy it. Simple as that.
And tied right into that is pitfall number three, failing to analyze your competition. Okay, so you know the problem you solve. Great. But the next critical step is figuring out how you stand out. Because you're not alone out there, right? There are others chasing the same customers, maybe offering similar things. This means you have to really look hard at your competitors and develop a solid differentiation strategy. The sources actually say, and I like this, different is better than better.
Well, that's interesting. Different is better than better. So just being, like, reliably good isn't enough.
Well, quality is vital, always. But if you're just slightly better at what everyone else does, you often end up competing solely on price. And that's a tough game. Being truly different, that gives you a unique reason for customers to choose you. A unique selling proposition.
Right. And the Geico example I mentioned is perfect for this. Car insurance. Let's be honest, it's pretty dull, a commodity. But Geico doesn't act like a typical insurance company, do they? They differentiate with, well, super quirky ads, memorable characters like the gecko, genuinely funny stuff. They intentionally carved out their unique space, made themselves really visible, really distinct. Now, for a small business, differentiation might not mean the talking lizard.
Probably not, no.
But it could mean, say, amazing, super personalized service for a specific local group, or a unique delivery method, or maybe a product with a really unusual targeted feature. It's about finding your unique angle. Okay, so we've got identify a real problem, stand out from the crowd, but let's say you've done that. You genuinely have a great product or service. Is that it? Our next pitfall busts that myth. Pitfall number 4. Believing a good product or service is enough. Just having something great. That's really just the starting line. Success demands way more. You need visibility. People have to know you exist. Brand awareness, authority reasons for customers to believe you can actually deliver what you promise, credibility, that's your proof, like testimonials, case studies, a solid marketing strategy, plan, promotion, maybe ads, content, word of mouth efforts, and crucially, an incredible customer experience, CX, like meticulous attention to the whole buying journey and amazing service before, during, and after the sale.
And if we connect that thought, it leads right into pitfall number 5, not intentionally creating a brand. Think about it. A company is just the legal thing. Your LLC, your corporation, is just a registered entity on paper. But a real brand, that's the living, breathing perception customers have of you. It's the promise you make, the feeling they get, the reputation you intentionally build. It involves strategic processes, methods, clear rules, designing those customer experiences right from the beginning. The sources are clear. If you don't deliberately create your brand, your customers will create it for you. And that leaves way too much to chance.
You really want to shape that perception yourself, don't you?
Exactly. For a startup, maybe that means carefully crafting your website's tone, defining your core values, making sure every single touch point, even your invoice, reflects that identity you want to project.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. History is just full of examples of companies that, well, they just didn't want to change. This brings us to pitfall number 6, the failure to change or innovate. I mean, think about Blockbuster, famously just ignored streaming. Or Nokia completely missing the boat on touchscreens. Xerox. They actually invented the personal computer but did nothing with it. Basically handed the future to Apple. Sony dominated with the Walkman, then just ignored digital music. Kodak clung to film. These were giants that failed to adapt.
What's so compelling there is that the business world is always changing. Culture shifts, technology evolves, customer expectations change constantly. Look at the car industry right now, that rapid shift to electric vehicles. It's driven by environmental worries, sure, but also huge consumer demand. For small businesses, this resistance to change, this inertia, can be even worse. Maybe limited resources, maybe the owner's just attached to how we've always done things. But failing to see and adapt to these big shifts, it's just a recipe for disaster. You have to actively seek feedback, watch the market, be willing to pivot even when it feels uncomfortable.
So it's about building that adaptive mindset into the company's DNA almost.
Exactly. Continuous learning, experimentation. It has to be part of how you operate.
Okay, so adapting to external changes is vital. What about the inside of the company? This leads us to pitfall number 7, neglecting internal company culture. Developing a strong culture. It can literally be the difference between success and failure. A toxic culture can kill a business so fast. But a great one, it can propel it just as quickly. Business really is a team sport, isn't it? Your employees, your team, they're critical.
And a really critical insight here is how a toxic culture, especially in a small team, can show up. High turnover, maybe resentment that spills over into customer interactions, or just no one takes initiative because they're scared of messing up. It just eats away at trust and efficiency from the inside, often before you even see the problems on the outside. Think about Zappos again, selling shoes, basically a commodity. But they went from nothing to being bought by Amazon for, $1.2 billion. Mostly because of their amazing culture and customer service. It really highlights how important things like training are, delegating, trusting your people, building loyalty with fair pay, recognizing good work. not just punishing errors.
So for a small business, building culture could be about clear communication, celebrating small wins, empowering people.
Absolutely. Making people feel valued and part of something.
And that Zappos example, focusing on customer service, it ties perfectly into what the sources called the one most underrated but necessary competency in business today, which is pitfall number 8, underestimating customer service.
Yeah. Zooming out, what this really tells us is that every single interaction with a customer, it creates these geometric growth possibilities. It sounds dramatic, but think about it. One really happy customer might tell, say, 5 friends. And maybe those 5 tell 25 more.
The ripple effect.
Exactly. And today, with the internet, social media reviews, that ripple effect is massively amplified. One fantastic experience can make your brand just blow up in a really great way. But the flip side is true too. One bad experience can blow you up in a really bad way. And fast. It spreads like wildfire online.
Oh, yeah. You see that all the time.
So the speed of service, and maybe even more importantly, the human touch, they're huge differentiators, especially for small businesses. You can really emphasize that personal connection in a world full of automated responses and phone menus. That's where a small business can genuinely shine and build a really loyal following.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of our list. 2 more pitfalls. This next one connects directly to what we just said about visibility and brand. It's pitfall number 9, not having a real marketing plan. Like we said, great product, only step 1. Beyond that, you absolutely need a strategic plan. How are you going to get noticed? How will you grab attention? How do you communicate your value? And then how do you actually draw people to where you sell your stuff, whether that's online or a physical shop? It's about being deliberate, intentional in every step, not just hoping people find you.
Which ties into a bigger theme, really. It brings us right to our final pitfall, pitfall number 10. The know-it-all owner. Look, confidence is essential. You needed to start a business, absolutely. But owners who genuinely think they know everything, who try to do it all themselves, they fail way more often.
Yeah.
The real key is knowing what you don't know. That's actually a strength, not a weakness.
Right. Like a brilliant chef might make incredible food.
Yeah. But maybe they know nothing about Instagram marketing or cash flow projections.
Yeah.
Trying to juggle everything perfectly just leads to burnout, mistakes, and often failure.
Exactly. So the ones who succeed, they often know their limits, they proactively seek help, they hire people or maybe retain experts in the areas they're weak in: marketing, finance, sales, customer service.
And even if money's tight, consultants can be a great option. They bring in that specialized expertise without the cost of a full-time hire. They can get you up to speed quickly for, a fraction of the long-term cost. It's really a strategic investment in knowledge. It speeds up growth and cuts down risk.
Wow. Okay. We have covered a lot today, from those critical cash flow issues that sink so many businesses to the dangers of, being too romantic about your idea, the risks of not changing, and the massive power of building a real brand and delivering amazing customer service. The message seems really clear. Success in small business. It's definitely not luck. It requires being pragmatic, looking at the data, always learning, and being willing to adapt. So by really paying attention to these 10 watchouts and proactively using these strategies, you'll be in a much, much better position to build a thriving, successful small business.
So here's a final thought to connect it all. That initial passion, the thing that launches the business in the first place.
Yeah.
If it's not balanced by objective data, by a clear business strategy, could that passion actually make those early money problems worse? Could being too passionate unchecked maybe contribute silently to poor cash flow management? The number one reason for failure. Something to think about as you build your own path.